So guys, this video you're about to watch is going to leave you in shock on the horror associated with Sharia law. We know that recently the United States called on the Nigerian government to abolish Sharia law and disband the Hijab group. This is a group of people empowered to impose Sharia law in northern states. But guess what? A video has emerged where some northern Muslims have come out to say they are ready to dispense their last blood to fight against the US if the US insists that Sharia law should be abolished and the Hijab group should be disbanded. They are saying that they are ready to fight with their last blood. And you know what that means? These are people who like jihad. For them, blood now water. It does not concern them. They said they are ready for that fight if the US so insists that the Tinubu's government should get rid of Sharia law from the constitution. The question remains, how did we even get to have the Sharia law in our constitution? And it has been secretly lying there, not until now that people start pointing out that Sharia law is actually in our constitution. For a secular country like Nigeria, we secretly have Sharia embedded in our constitution. And when we call for constitutional review, nobody mentioned all this. And we've seen them try to push Sharia law. From one Zamfara state, it expanded to 12 northern states. And from there, they are now moving down south. Earlier this year, there were a lot of conversation over the establishment of Sharia courts across Yoruba land and also in extension to other southern regions. Like you can see, this headline here captured it and said why Sharia law shouldn't be imposed on the Yorubas. You know, people began to voice out against that because the forces that be were actually trying to establish Sharia courts across Yoruba land so that those of them in the Muslim community can start openly and publicly start practicing Sharia law and abandon the constitution of Nigeria. And you can also see this headline here. It says Yoruba nation agitators, Muslims disagree as Sharia panel Sharia panel spreads in Southwest. So Yoruba agitation, the Yoruba nation and other Muslims are disagreeing. The Sharia panel is already spreading in Yoruba land. And at the time, we even heard they were pushing to establish Sharia courts in the Southeast. So guys, this is an agenda that started in one Zamfara state by the former Zamfara governor. And in this video you are going to watch, you are going to see the horror associated with this Sharia law. Just for you to know that Nigeria is sitting on a gunpowder. I mean, it is really time for people to come up and speak against this Sharia law because this is what is fueling the insecurity. They actually want to make Nigeria an Islamic nation. They want to take over. They want to see Sharia law. And because of the violence that is attached to the Sharia law, that is why you see these guys going violent and they believe they are pleasing Allah. Because whatever you see them doing, they feel they are pleasing Allah and they are going to be rewarded with 70 virgins when they die. Now, take your time. Watch this video, but I'm going to allow you first take a look at what the US said about the United States, one of their rep members, what he said about Sharia law. Then you are going to be watching the real video I want you to watch. Now, take a look at this.
It's absolutely anathema, incompatible with the U.S. Constitution, with the ideas contained in the Declaration of Independence, with our rule of law. We are built on the freedom of the individual. Sharia is built on the absolute submission to Sharia. So they are totally incompatible. I mean, it's not even close. And they are a religion, a civilization, a culture that intends to dominate whatever culture they enter. And look at history. I mean, this is what they do. History tells us we need to be very cautious about this, and we need to take the steps to defend our Western culture, our Western civilization, built on the freedom of the individual, consistent with civil society. They do not believe that.
At first glance, it's just another ordinary surgical procedure. But this is a perfectly healthy man about to have his hand amputated. A convicted cattle thief, he's the first person to be punished under Islamic or Sharia law, now sweeping across the Muslim north of Nigeria. These images, recorded by Sharia activists, keen to display their civilized method of punishment.
We are telling people that, look, this is what God said in his law, and whoever dares to commit offenses against God and against humanity will receive that punishment.
Later in recovery, the hapless thief begins a second sentence, learning how to cope with a lifelong disfigurement. But there's much more at stake than just medieval forms of punishment. Sharia now threatens to dismember a nation divided between Muslim North and largely Christian South. It's not a story Nigerian authorities want told. They fear the growing popularity of this man, the governor of Zamfara state, who's risen from obscurity to lead this Islamic revival. 7 other Muslim states have now heeded his call. He says he won't stop until all Nigeria is under Sharia rule. Do you think Nigeria should become a Sharia nation?
That is my ambition, and that is the ambition of every Muslim in this country.
They gather in St Andrew's Anglican Church, Kaduna, to count their blessings. Many are Christian refugees from the newly declared Sharia states. All Nigerians are deeply spiritual, be they Christian or Muslim. Released last year from the shackles of 15 years of military dictatorship, they're embracing their separate faiths with a renewed vigour.
Let us pray also for our members, the members of this diocese, that the fear of the God will be in our mind.
They pray for paradise, but twice this year have found themselves in the midst of a living hell that left more than 1,000 people dead as Christian and Muslim butchered their fellow man in the name of God. Sharia had swept across the Muslim north unopposed until it collided with Kaduna's sizable Christian minority, who feared persecution under Islamic law. Islamic fundamentalists quickly discovered that one man's jihad is another's crusade.
It is just like when you fight me, you push me to the well, to the wall. What next? I have to retaliate. That is how the Christians did.
This is what much of Kaduna looks like today, after the rioting that claimed more than 1,000 lives. But it's not as simple as just a dispute between Christian and Muslim. There are a whole range of issues here that threaten to fragment Nigerian society. There's an ongoing conflict between the country's 3 major tribal groups, a growing gap between rich and poor, and a continuing struggle for power between those who support this nation's fledgling democracy and those who prefer the bad old days of military rule. Striding into the midst of this chaos, Nigeria's new political messiah, Olusegun Obasanjo, who was elected president last year after 15 years of military dictatorship. He's a leader who has defied the odds, an army general who retired, turned Democrat and won the polls. Also a fundamentalist Christian who broke the political and military monopoly of the Muslim North. He claims Muslim political opponents are brandishing Sharia as a weapon to bring about his downfall. Back amid the ruins of Kaduna, the graffiti provides a clear indication of who prevailed here in Reverend Washim's parish. But it's a hollow victory. Before the rioting, this was a mixed community of Christians and Muslims. And like most Nigerians, they shared a bond of abject poverty, seeing none of the country's vast oil wealth that lined the pockets of the military dictatorship.
There's no money to repair it.
The Reverend says the Sharia riots were about politics, not religion. He claims that the Islamic activists who confronted local Christians were outsiders, hired by supporters of the old dictatorship, who are now cynically and dangerously playing the religion card in a bid to destabilise President Obasanjo.
The truth is that the Sharia law that they are trying to is not a religious as such completely, but it's a political.
What do you mean?
What I mean is that if you can hear, there are a lot of plans to get rid of the present head of state. And this is a man that is sent by the Lord to lead this country because we have been in bondage. He is a sergeant and the rest under him.
How do you do? Welcome, fine. President Obasanjo's army keeps an uneasy truce in Kaduna. The once feared foot soldiers of the former dictatorship transformed into unlikely saviours.
But they are to make sure that there is peace among us.
Yeah. And as you were saying earlier, you feel if the army moves out of here, things will get
worse. That is why they are here.
The Obasanjo government is reluctant to reimpose this sort of authority over the Sharia states to the north, fearful that it may trigger civil war. There are still strong memories of the last major internal conflict in the 1960s, the Biafran War, an inter-ethnic Armageddon that left 1 million people dead. Today, the stakes are high, and all Nigeria is watching Kaduna.
If there is peace in Kaduna, there is peace in Nigeria. If there is no peace in Kaduna, there will be no peace in Nigeria. That is why, because here is a liberal state where everybody could come.
The man who leads this so-called liberal state lives in a compound now defended by tanks. Kaduna's state governor is charged with holding the federal government's secular line. Ironically, he's a devout Muslim who refuses to heed the call to implement Sharia. But Al-Haji Ahmed Mohammed Makafi offers no real solution.
I am accused by both Muslims and Christians because I want to be fair to both sides. I cannot speak for either, irrespective of my faith. I was voted into office by both Christian, Muslims, and even people who don't believe in either of these religions. And once you are trying to be fair and just, of course, you find dissatisfaction from both sides from time to time.
Just a couple of hours north lies the heartland of the Islamic revival. Zamfara, home of farming and Sharia, proclaims the state boundary marker. In contrast to his Kaduna colleague, Zamfara's governor, Alhaji Sani Ahmed, has the aura of a political winner. He's become a powerful new political player, loved in the Muslim north, loathed in the Christian south. Dubbed the Butcher of Zamfara by the Christian-dominated press, accused by the tabloids of profiting from the very corruption he's vowed to eradicate by lining his pockets during an earlier career as a government finance official. Sani Ahmed takes it all in his stride, but then he can afford to.
You were the first governor to introduce Sharia law.
Yes.
Others have followed.
Yes.
In other states, there has been huge loss of life as a result of the law change or people wanting to change the law. Has it all been worth it? I mean, lots of people have lost their lives.
I don't think it is the reason why there was that crisis, particularly in Kaduna. Sharia was never the reason. You see, before now, there was crisis in Dangon Katab, the same Kaduna state. There was Kawanchan crisis. Most of it are communal and tribal clashes, political and social interests of different group of people who happen to be Muslims and Christians, not because of Sharia.
But Sharia is steadily making its mark on the streets of Zamfara's state capital, Gusau. Cinemas have closed. Under Islamic law, it's an offence to replicate the human image, unless it happens to be the governor on the TV news. And gone are the women's colourful headscarves, replaced by the sombre tones of Islam. Matched by the mood of many women, sitting silently in their newly segregated buses and taxis, now forbidden from talking to us. It's just a small part of Governor Sani's Islamic New Order.
It's all determined and defined. The type of education, the responsibility and the role of the child when he grows up in the society, up to the time he's going to die and then be buried in the grave, even how to go to toilet. You have to enter with the left leg, you say certain prayers, seeking refuge and protection from the evils that are in the toilets. And when you come out with the right leg, thanking God for removing the dirty things that are in your stomach.
Zamfara's schools are now segregated by sex, but not by religion. Daughters of the few remaining Christian families, distinguishable by their shorter headscarves. Theoretically, they're exempt from Sharia, their lives still governed by the National Civil Law Code. But in reality, those who stay toe the line. Christian girls are forced to attend compulsory Quranic studies classes. And since our visit, a 17-year-old Muslim girl has been sentenced to 180 lashes for falling pregnant out of wedlock. A relatively benevolent ruling, given some of the other punishments now in store.
And you're prepared to order the beheading of people if they commit an offence?
Yes, that is the dictates of Sharia. All Muslims know about it.
What's happened to the crime rate here since you introduced this?
In fact, it's virtually no crime. It's crime-free because the percentage of crime is compared to what obtained before Sharia. I think it's over 90% has been eradicated completely.
Sharia has proved to be hugely popular in this community, sick of the crime and corruption that inflicts all Nigeria. Discrimination against Christians and women deemed a small price to pay. In a deliberate display of transparency, Zamfara's administrators now meet in public. Governor Sani knows politics is all about perception and pragmatism. The beard is now obligatory for every pious Muslim male. No one seems to notice the clean-shaven, pre-Sharia portrait of the governor, taken barely 12 months ago. But Sani Ahmed is on a dangerous political pilgrimage. He's turned Zamfara state away from Nigeria's secular ideals and is now faced firmly towards Mecca.
You see, if you want to know what Sharia is all about, the true model of Sharia, you go to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is a country in the number one country in the world that is implementing Sharia according to Islamic rules and regulations.
So is Saudi Arabia a role model for you?
Yeah, that is our model.
It's the kind of provocative statement that sends shudders through Nigeria's secular federal government. And we're about to witness the fragility of Christian-Muslim unity as Governor Sani officiates over the annual induction ceremony of the National Youth Service Corps. All university graduates are required to undergo 10 months community service before starting their careers. It's intended as a nation-building exercise. Christian Southerners serving here in the north, Muslim Northerners going south to the big smoke of the cities.
To build a united, egalitarian society, and a great nation, so help me God.
So help me God.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Both sides used today's parade as a political point-scoring exercise. For the federal government, it's living proof that Nigeria's youth will put nationalism before religion. But for Governor Sani, a very different spin. Their presence, he says, evidence that the Christian South is prepared to endorse his Sharia state by sending their sons and daughters north for national service.
I stand before you here today and assure you that you are safe and sound in Zamfara state, inshallah.
As the official entourage departs, parade suddenly unravels into protest. The truth is, this great show of national unity in the face of adversity is nothing more than a fabrication. Most of these students are Christians. They claim the governor has lured them north with promises of extra allowances or danger money.
Many of us came from a partisan places just because of the promises we saw on papers. The governor of Zamfara State promises a lot of things.
Because the more the risk, the more benefit. So we are expecting more benefit. More benefit. Sharia.
So they promised money, but the money's not there.
The place is people not because it's scam. We don't know our fate after here. When we are going to our primary assignment, we are given assurance that everything is scam now. But outside here, we really don't know what happens to our life.
Furious, federal security officials who minutes earlier welcomed our presence now order troops to silence the students and stop us filming. They're angered by this PR disaster and by the amount of time we're spending with the governor, his growing popularity and militancy they regard as a threat to national security.
Do you think Nigeria should become a Sharia nation?
That is my ambition, and that is the ambition of every Muslim in this country. We want Sharia to be implemented for all Muslims in Nigeria, while the Christian will be governed by the common law.
Christians watching this in Nigeria would be very angered by those comments, the things you've just said then.
How will they be angered? That is my own opinion, and I'm entitled to my own opinion in a democratic society.
Back in Kaduna, local Christians are far from convinced, and many have already fled the city. But Reverend Yashim isn't going anywhere. His own son, killed in the riots, is buried on a hill overlooking his parish.
Whether you are a Christian, whether you are a Muslim, whether you like it or not, you are bound to die. And I felt very happy because my son said, "Daddy, if I died, thank you that I would be with the Lord."
Perhaps it's little more than blind faith. He's staking the lives of his 500 remaining parishioners on the ability of the Obasanjo government to succeed in achieving national unity when all before them had failed. Burdened by this huge responsibility, he can do little more than pray that the rest of his congregation doesn't end up on this hillside.
Rule. Do you think Nigeria should become a Sharia nation?
That is my ambition, and that is the ambition of every Muslim in this country.
They gather in St Andrew's Anglican Church, Kaduna, to count their blessings. Many are Christian refugees from the newly declared Sharia states.
Looking at the map of Nigeria you see here, you see this section in yellow, 12 contiguous states. Simultaneously imposed Sharia in year 2000, meaning that they consulted. It was their state House of Assembly that did all of what was done. Their governors signed such things into those legislations into law and set up the Hisbah, the Sharia police that have been enforcing. They've never repealed any of those laws the same way they pass them. They may tell you, oh, it's a joke, Sharia does not exist, but it exists in Kano, destroying people's business. It exists in Sokoto, destroying people's business. And so we come down to section 10. Let's listen very carefully. For those who may think that these are troublemakers who don't wish Nigeria well, Nigeria, the federation, is not what we are discussing. Nigeria, the federation, died a long time ago. But the Nigeria, the unitary state, the monster that is now feeding on the blood of those is holding by force against the will. It is that Nigeria that has, the Nigeria that should have been our union was agreed to be a secular state, for which reason section 10 of the 1999 constitution, as disputed as it is, section 10 expressly forbids the adoption of any state religion by the government of the federation or that of any state. That's no state, the government of the federation or that of a state shall not adopt any religion as state religion. That's the entire provision of section 10. And so when in year 2000, these 12 contiguous states that run from Sokoto Kebbi through Kano Jigawa to Borno in the uppermost north of Nigeria simultaneously imposed Sharia, adopted and imposed Sharia and began to implement it, they had seceded from the secular union of Nigeria as dictated by section 10 that says they should not do such a thing, they should not adopt state religion. And so we were, ordinarily it would have been to go and quarrel with them, but we took a second look at it in this project and we said that this is self-determination that they have exercised, and they went through due process. They consulted among themselves. That was why they could act simultaneously. They are contiguous. They were not picking one here, picking one there, so you don't know how they came about it. They are contiguous. They acted simultaneous, and so it must be that they consulted. But if anybody was in doubt, they went through the due process of their state assemblies passing the law. They also went through the due process of their governor signing and setting up the Hizbah. And so we interpreted it to mean that they had decided to secede from the secular union we were building together with them. They've left the Nigerian Union. They've now regrouped and are coming on a conquest mission, knowing that the title, having abandoned their own title deed in that respect, that the constitution by which Nigeria is convened and controlled and managed, they departed from that constitution by imposing Sharia. But they regrouped and they are here now overrunning, invading communities, killing people and bringing their the Fulani from Mauritania and Senegal and everywhere to come to share the land. They've shared it all the way to Port Harcourt. Look at the tiles on the ground where you are, and you will see the kind of formations in which they had, divided up the entire land all the way to Bonny and Badagry in Lagos area, Bonny in River. And so we are saying that it is that is the first practical rejection of the Nigerian Federation by that part. The campaign we are leading was then the response of, because these same people who have imposed Sharia have departed from a union of sanctity of life. Under Sharia, the adherents owe it a duty of faith to kill the infidel. How are we to be in a union where our compatriots owe it a duty of faith to kill us? We saw what happened with Gideon Akaruka. We saw what happened with Deborah in Sokoto. We saw what's going on with we had when Dr. Melafia told us who and who was doing what. We saw what Buhari, the champion of Sharia, and the killings that come with Sharia. The same people adopted in their worldview, their civilization is that of feudalism. Feudalism. Under Sharia, we are exposed to being killed as infidels. Under their feudalism, we are exposed to being killed too, because in their worldview of feudalism, there's only the master and the slave. Our insistence on democracy is infuriating to them, because in feudalism, you can't be talking democracy, because the slaves cannot have equal rights with the master. The reason that people are flying flags, Odua nation, Biafra nation, Ijaw nation, at a time the ones who are doing Sharia had gone their way. So there are practical steps to leave the union. People are holding solemn assemblies and saying we can't proceed on this. None of those things will change. And the reason they are doing so, in case anybody did not understand it, apart from the Sharia belt that has seceded, the feudalist belt that has seceded, the other ones who are who subscribe to democracy, who subscribe to constitutionalism, they insist on a union of sanctity of life. They insist on a union of equality of men. The Ninas Alliance, the South and the Middle Belt, minimum condition for re-entering, for renegotiating even any form of union. Where we are now is that the union is at an end. Anybody who doesn't understand it will learn the hard way that the constitution has been delegitimized and is going to be decommissioned. Whether we went to a meeting to do so together or it happens unilaterally, because that's where it will go next. In the kind of brigandage we have seen, in the kind of killings we have seen, in the kind of refusal to listen that we have seen, people pointing guns, union at gunpoint, it's not going to last. It's not going to. It's started too long already.
If you read the Bible, Abraham had 3 wives.
That's correct.
Solomon, how many wives he had? He had 700 wives.
Again, correct, and 300 concubines.
It is later on the church has put a ban that Christians should marry only one, not the Bible.
But are we forgetting what happened to Abraham? Yeah, Abraham had more than one woman, Sarah, Hagar, and later Keturah. But who told him to take Hagar? Not God. It was Sarah's idea because they doubted God's timing. And the moment he brought in the second woman, jealousy, abuse, division, Hagar despised Sarah. Sarah mistreated Hagar. Ishmael and Isaac's descendants remained divided for generations. So Abraham's story isn't proof God approves of polygamy. It is proof that adding more than what God designed breaks the house. Are we forgetting what happened to Solomon? Yeah, he had 700 wives, but before he ever did, God commanded kings not to multiply wives or they would turn the king's hearts away from God. So Solomon was like, alright, I'm going to completely ignore this. And what happened? His wives turned his heart to other gods. That's not God saying, go and take on 700 wives. That's God saying, look what happens when a man leaves my design. The Old Testament records polygamy, yes, but every single time it appears, the story goes dark. The Bible has always been honest about human sin. But recording it isn't the same as approving of it. Some Christians today cheat. Some marry multiple people. Does that mean God allows it? Of course not. If God wanted polygamy as his design, he would have made Adam, Eve, Rebecca, Stephanie, Mary in the garden. But he didn't. He made one woman and said this: the two shall become one flesh, not 3, not 4, not 2. Even at the beginning when humans needed to multiply quickly, God didn't give Adam multiple wives because speed wasn't more important than design. When Jesus came, he didn't let the church ban polygamy like you say. Jesus himself reaffirmed God's original plan. From the beginning, God made them male and female. A man shall be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Jesus didn't say wives. He didn't say the 3 become one flesh. He said one wife. The apostles taught the same thing. Each man should have his own wife. Leaders must be the husband of one wife. Now, about the idea of taking multiple wives to help them financially. You can help widows and single mothers without marrying them. You know that, right? Marriage is supposed to be a picture of Christ and the church. Christ doesn't have multiple brides. He has one bride. And truthfully, if your heart, body, and affection are divided among multiple women, your devotion will be divided too. And a divided heart can't fully belong to God or anyone else. There is absolutely no way you can love multiple people at the same time, especially when intimacy is involved equally. And Jesus taught us to live outside of this flesh, but through the Spirit. In order to connect to God, we must purify ourselves. Living through our flesh is not going to bring us to the purest form of creation. Polygamy will always lead to destruction. And God's design has always been the same. One man, one woman, one flesh, one covenant, one bride. Just like Jesus.
So guys, there is this video of Pastor Ezekiel Dachumo on the Twitter space calling on Donald Trump to come quick. There is intel that these guys are planning to attack Benue State, you know. there are intel that they are planning to invade Benue State come this December. And Ezekiel Dachumo was cited in this video, was seen in this video calling on Donald Trump to please come. If you know you still need to hear my voice, you have to come quick. It's really a passionate plea. Oh my God, what a passionate plea. What a passionate plea, honestly. I really, really feel for him. It's really, really so sad. You know, I'm just trying to write something here. What a passionate plea. I'm really so touched by the way he spoke in this video. You know, Donald Trump should come. Left for the Tinubu's government. You know how they do their thing. Before you know it is election and Tinubu will rig his way again into power. Not because people are going to vote him. What has he done? Anyway, let me read some of the reactions here. This person, may God bless Trump. Please come quickly. Nigeria should be divided between the north and the south. This is the way to stop Islamic terrorists. And this person says you are a fraud and you will soon be arrested. This person has a breaking news. Bandits kill Zamfara political figure after collecting 15 million ransom. Armed bandits have killed Honorable somebody, a prominent political leader in Zamfara, despite collecting part of the ransom demanded for his release. He had spent 5 months in captivity after being kidnapped during an attack in July. The incident occurred along a road there where gunmen ambushed the vehicle carrying the PDP chairman, Honorable Salah Vuta, and others. Vuta sustained gunshot wound to his hands and leg, while 3 people, including Washo, were abducted. Can you imagine? The kidnappers initially demanded 30 million, later reduced it to 15 million, collected the payment. However, they refused to free Gwashi, insisting on an additional 15 million before release. Security analysts said on X that the captors repeatedly changed their demand, calling the ordeal a tragic example of the ongoing cycle of extortion. Local residents and social media users mourn Gwashi's death, offering prayer and expressing grief. Zamfara continues to face persistent attacks and kidnappings across several government areas, with both civilians and officials frequently targeted. Despite ongoing security operation, banditry remains a major threat to the state. It's really so sad, honestly. It's really, really so sad. And this person here said, I have been following some of your posts recently. Honestly, I had to have a rethink of what you have been saying and the activity you are posting now. Baba, reduce your post to I just wonder how you have deviated in some. In some, it has affected the objective of your justice demand. Let me see who posted this post. Okay, this is like deals for better Nigeria. I don't know who. Okay, this person is talking about I've been following some of your posts recently. Honestly, I had to have a rethink on what you have been saying and activities you are posting now. Baba, reduce your post. I just wonder, as you have deviated in some, it has affected the objective of your justice demand. I don't think so. This man has been shouting for long. Calm down, calm. Trump isn't going to relent. Trump is not going to relent. Oh Lord, give us help from trouble, from vain. The crusader must return. Only a stronger force can stop this jihad going on. So, there is no Christian genocide in the north again. So, there's no Christian genocide again in the north. We need a referendum to save Nigeria. The agenda don't cast. Obi will never be president in Nigeria. God bless you, you people, for listening to Christians in Nigeria. Genocide is still going on. Please come fast. I am not surprised seeing this from a Birum man. And this one says, your trick don't fail. And this man said, this man is tormenting those who would do anything to cover up the truth. This madman again, you see, they are calling him madman. All the names that are attacking this man are from one religion. Does that not tell you something? It tells a lot, honestly. It tells a lot. Ambassador designate of Femi Kayode, Omokre, Dambazo, Ifanya, and others have arrived at the Senate for their official screening. Can you imagine? This one, Trump has abandoned the masses of Nigeria due to what concerns me. And this one says, can someone help me tell him that he can successfully pass his message without using too much energy? And this one here says, America representative just visited his state. You should have vibrated like this for them so they can hear you. Okay, over to you, Portus. So guys, this Ezekiel, Reverend Ezekiel, this man is just, speaking his mind, but people would think it's politics. You may not know, what this man is talking about because you are not in his shoes. Some people are playing with what he's saying because it's not them. You don't know what it means that you can't sleep in your house. You don't know. If you know, you won't talk. Now there's this other headline from Amnesty International Nigeria. Mary Tamon is one of the 9 women killed on Monday, December 2025 when the military opened fire during a protest over lingering communal clash at Lamodi in Adamawa. The Nigerian authority must transparently and impartially investigate this alleged horrific use of excessive force by the military. Nigerian authorities response to the communal violence between Bachama and Chobo tribe is totally inadequate, too slow and ineffective. In cases where Nigerian security agencies did respond to communal violence, as it happened in Lamode on Monday 8 December 2025, they use excessive force or unlawful force, resulting to even more deaths and destruction. Can imagine. Maybe if these people had just been left alone, this woman wouldn't have died. You see, because of clashes, this woman just lost her life. About 8 or 9 women have died so far. And guess what? We have a country. We have a country where, they don't care. They don't care. That's what we see. This person here say police in Enugu storm bush searching for kidnappers. As if they are serious. When you see kidnappers now, you run. So guys, that is it. This one said, Dear Omolabis, I have a question. What are our agenda in Nigeria? What do we want from Nigeria? We can keep defending. We must be proactive. Think future. We can't miss this chance again. Yoruba land needs us. This one says, Nigeria needs us. There is no Nigeria without us. Let's speak. Let's speak with one voice. Our leaders must hear us. Nigeria must respect us. The world is expecting us to live up to our potential. Omo Yoruba, whatever, what our plan. Okay, this person is asking our fellow Yorubas what are their plans. Anyway, that is it. So guys, a whole lot is happening in Nigeria today, and I think Tinubu government can no longer handle what is seen here. Kanu authorities seized 4,920 bottles of beer, hand trucks over to Hizbah Islamic police for destruction, while Saudi Arabia is opening more drink centers. This one is closing its own. Where are these two guys, please? Shehu Ghazali and Jude. I think it's a good question. I've not seen Jude. This is a good question, honestly. This is a good question. Oh, let me see what Nigerians are saying. Honestly, this is a good question. This person is very, very observant. That's very kind of you. Thought I'm out of the country and hardly comes to Twitter, but it's very good observation to notice their long absence. Great obedient, please. Let's look for our fellow comrades. Wow, this is good, honestly. And let me see what Nigerians are saying. The person behind this handle got to be smart to have noticed their absence. And this way, I wonder how Peter will be feeling, knowing fully that those who fought for him are nowhere to be found. How Peter will be feeling. I used to see Jude post, but not on politics and not anymore. Warming up to choose the side of the gig to sign for via 2020. This person, you don't unveil your generals like that. They are on training at the moment. Storm is coming, Peter Obi is coming. Anyway, guys, people are saying they've not heard from Jude, and there's this other guy too, Shehu Ghazali, that they've not heard from them for a long time. This was strong obedience in the last election. Chris Ngige was arrested because he had a private meeting with Peter Obi. This administration is so insecure for people who claim they won the election. From what I'm hearing, they are now telling politicians and elites to distance themselves from Peter Obi. Can you imagine? Oh my God, this is so shameful. So shameful. Obi does not even need Nigerian politicians to win the election. What is happening in this country? What is really happening? Anyway, Senator Akpoti Udoha unveiled modern maternity facility in Kogi, fully funded by crowdfunding, not constituency or public fund. Wow, this is amazing. This woman is really doing a very good job, honestly. Doing a very good job. So guys, I don't know what you make of all this news. They are really somehow funny. We know you don't rate your fellow Muslim. You even think they are more foolish than we think they are. The more the number of our Almajiris and out-of-school children keep rising in the north, the more it adds to the number of the tourists in the north. So let me know what you think about all these headlines. There are so many things to read here. As usual, you eat your words soon. This one is Deji Ade Andrew. He said, my prediction about 2027 is that Peter Obi will work for Tinubu again. He will never agree to work with the coalition against Tinubu. Only people benefiting from the obedient fraud and fundraising scam are still with him. Even the most stupid students of politics and history can decipher what Obi is doing. I will rather vote a dog than vote Obi, and his political extremist supporters can go to hell for all I care. Okay. Alaye, vote your dog and leave Obi. That is all. Stop crying. Stop crying now. Last election, you never supported him, so supporting your dog candidate in peace. Let us rest. We all know that it is dog you are voting. Hey. So guys, I really love this guy's reaction. You want Peter Obi to abandon his ambition for Atiku, but you couldn't convince your own friend Showore to give up his ambition and support Atiku. If this isn't the highest level of hypocrisy madness, I don't know what we should call it. So guys, this is it. Deji Adenunju has come again with another calling out Peter Obi. Peter Obi will remain you people's nightmare. Honestly, Peter Obi will remain their nightmare. Peter Obi, he will remain their nightmare. The man they fear so much. The government has absolutely no power to fix prices for private enterprises, including the aviation industry. Face to Skyamo. That's exactly what this guy was saying. This is the wife and daughter of late Archie, who was killed in captivity by Fulani terrorists. Please, we appeal to the Nigerian government to help secure the old woman and her daughter. The government has remained silent. If this were Remi Tinubu and daughter, you know what would have happened if this was to be Remi Tinubu and her daughter? Would President Tinubu, Bola Tinubu, and APC government leave them in the hands of terrorists? I think this one is really so powerful, honestly. This person is saying, oh, this post is really so powerful. I mean it, you know. Really heartbreaking. So guys, I don't know what you make of this. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Rufa even reposted this and said, wow. Anyway guys, let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification. Thank you.